Welcome into the double FU, the FU times 2. I am Jeremy Schulman at FF_Rebel. This is Jesse Muller at JMuller05 over on the X Machine. We are here to do your Saturday afternoon fantasy football roundtable, talking anything fantasy football, talking about some stuff we want to talk about, talking about a lot of stuff you want to talk about. We already have questions in the chat, which we're going to jump into here in a few minutes. So we appreciate you tuning in. And, week 9. So a lot of things to get to, a lot of injuries already coming out. So we'll go through all of that and make sure you're prepared, even though college football is in the midst of whatever they're doing. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that. But Jesse, how you doing today? How's it going before we jump into this week 9 round?
Oh, good, baby. It's Saturday. This is the day before when all the chaos happens, right? Like you're checking your lineups, you're making adjustments to rankings. Like this is the fun time. There's no stress. It's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna move a guy here. We'll see how it goes. And then you look at it the day later and you're like, oh, that was a just massive mistake, or wow, I'm a genius. So there's a lot of that goes on this season, so.
Love that. I love the I'm a genius. I also appreciate the I'm made a massive mistake. But I'll tell you what, I think we've been, like a 50.5% hit rate this year. We're slightly more up than we've been down, it feels like. So we're hoping that we can help you fill out your fantasy football lineups and answer your most pressing questions. Of course, you can find us everywhere. We're here on YouTube. We're on fantasyfootballuniverse.com. I forgot the name of our company for a second there. We're over on Twitter. We're on TikTok. We're in the Reddit streets early in the week, kind of going through that, battling about Bo Nix. I'm sure we'll get into it here again. Top 12 QB this week. But, hey, please like and subscribe if you like this content. We are here every Saturday and, of course, right before kickoff on Sunday is always live. We're also live a couple times during the week. We have a few recorded shows. We release content every single day on multiple platforms. So please follow us, like, subscribe. We appreciate all the interaction and everything. All of that helps us as well. So, Jesse, we do have a few topics to cover, but we have a couple of questions, so we'll get into that first. We got a couple of guys who are always here. Jamie, we appreciate you. But Andrew was first in line. Andrew wants to know, what do we do at defense this week? Titans, Browns, Lions, or Patriots? And he adds he's leaning Patriots with the Pollard likely out and Spears already out. So their running backs are Julius Chestnut, potentially, I forgot his name already. We were talking about him a few minutes ago.
Josh Kelly.
Josh Kelly. And whoever the hell else. Like, this is lining up to be Pats. Would you start any of these other team over the Pats, or do you think it's Pats?
The whole issue with the Pats defense is they're not good, and this is like where we verge from like kind of history of the Pats defense, where everyone has treated them as like a top defense the past like 5 years. We're seeing the warts really show up on the defense. They traded Uchi. They've done things like they can't stop the run. It's tough. I mean, you could start them. I don't hate the matchup. I just think this is going to be a slogfest either way in this game, where both teams aren't going to score a lot. So I think it's really pick your poison between the Titans and the Patriots defense and who you want to go with. I'm really undecided at the moment. I cannot say. So I'm fine playing them, but I don't have a lean with the other way. Where are you kind of at with these defenses?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The Pats just haven't been good, especially with Juwan Bentley out for the season. They haven't been able to do anything in the middle. It's Godchaux as well, who hasn't been showing up and injured, holding out whatever's going on there with his issue as well. So the middle of that defense is just completely susceptible to the inside run. That's kind of where Tony Pollard was going to eat up this defense. Julius Chestnut's a big back, so he should be able to do the same. The problem is there's no threat. Mason Rudolph, Will Levis, there's no other threat there. Maybe Calvin Ridley gets loose, but Christian Gonzalez is a good cover corner. I agree with you. The Pats have been bad. They're still my highest ranked defense of the week. They're number 4 for me. The Titans are second of this group at 7. I don't even know where I have the Lions or Browns, but they're significantly lower. So, yeah, give me the Pats.
You could go with the Browns or Lions. Like, the Lions are boom bust because they're playing the Packers. Jordan Love turns it over. Like, there's going to be turnovers in that game, so you can make the case, right? But, like, the pass rush isn't there. It's just, I don't know. There's no really good option. Somebody down in the chat later was talking about starting the Saints defense versus Carolina. And I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of ideal one because Carolina's offense is so bad where you can make the case for that. But it's still like they're not that great of a defense. So outside of like the Vikings and Chiefs this week, it's kind of just like, you know what, you're kind of picking your poison. If you could luckily you could get in maybe the Chargers or I think the Ravens is potentially good, even though they will give up yards. It's just, I don't think there's a lot of good like defenses to play this week. It's a lot of okay matchups, I would say.
Yep. And the other thing to consider is that Marshawn Lattimore is already ruled out of this game. I believe there's another. Is McKinstry a Saint as well?
Yeah, yeah,
I believe so. He's also out. So the back
they're
end is
struggling
bad. The back end is bad, and they're also now injured. This is like the perfect storm of Chicago a couple of weeks ago when they gave it all up to, I forget who it was they were playing 2 weeks ago, but they really got decimated in the secondaries because they had one healthy guy back there. And they're a good secondary. This is a bad secondary, and now two of their top pieces are out. So, yeah, I'm just not trusting. Look, I know it's Bryce Young. I know, we got some rookies out there running routes. It's all rookie show, really, and unless Adam Thielen manages to limp out on the field this week. But yeah, I'm totally going here with against the Saints defense, even in a nice matchup.
Can we play the breaking news graphic? Whatever it is. Ezekiel Elliott is out, so just you want to do Rico Dowdle? He's playing fine. Dalvin Cook got re-elevated. Those running backs suck. So I'm not playing a running back unless it's Rico Dowdle in that backfield.
It's Rico.
So bad. But if you were counting on Zeke Elliott, hopefully you weren't. He's out this week. So just FYI, people.
Yeah, we'll get into that for sure because Dallas is a really interesting topic just to figure out what we want to do with this. There's been some chatter this week in fantasy that Dallas is interesting because it could go the way that it went last year where the first half was tough. The second half, it's not as cakey this year as it was last year, but it's still a lot easier for them over the second half of the schedule. So it could be an interesting buy low moment. That said, Rico Dowdle, I have him stashed in a lot of places, but I'm not going to rely on him. But he's the guy. He's the guy. Jason, what's up? You need to drop someone for a kicker. Never a good situation, but we get it. Listen, desperate times call for desperate measures. RBs look pretty tasty there. Wide receivers, you got a couple of good drop candidates, but you're heavy at running back. Jesse, who do you drop here for something necessary?
So it's between those two running backs. It's Big B and Dowdle. It really depends on if you're playing either one of these guys and with who you have on this roster. I don't think you're ever going to bench Brees. You're playing Alvin Kamara every week, right? So then you get into these guys that are flexes, and then on the flip side of wide receiver, JSN stands out as a guy I just don't even want to play. So if I'm looking at your roster, it's between those three guys, and if you want the upside shot of Big B being the borderline back, I'll actually to your point, I would rather keep Dowdle just because I know his role is most secure, with the caveat unless they trade for someone like Khalil Herbert. If that happens, then it shifts it. But he has no competition. It's two old, ancient, past previous glorious running backs that are just not good anymore, right? So I would probably drop Bigsby, and I don't want to, but that's the guy that stands up to me as I would drop.
Yeah. I know it's getting a little late here, but the running backs look excellent. The wide receivers look like you need help. I implore you to please first, before you drop someone, try just, give it 10, 15 minutes, send out a couple offers, send out the running back of your choice here who you're willing to part with, and a Deontay Johnson, maybe the hype of movement kind of gets you that extra little edge to go out and get yourself a better wide receiver upgrade at that spot if you can. If you can't, I'm fine dropping Bigsby or Dowdle at that point. Those other four, you're holding on those guys for dear life for sure.
Yeah, to your point, I would say packaging is a very good idea.
Yeah. Moving on. Great. Scott is with us again. Scott Kobe, we love it. It's getting close to Christmas. Julius Chestnut roasting on the open fire. Is he worth a pickup? Yes. Jesse, is he worth a start this week? We just talked about that bad New England run deep.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to just plug him into the Pollard role, and I think we need to pump the brakes on that because Tony Pollard's been one of the better running backs in the NFL this year. He's been very good, even in a kind of deep, decrepit, bad situation. The offense just really isn't working around him. He's been the one piece. Now, I will say there's a lot of promise with Chestnut. He's just a size, speed score specimen. He's a young guy a lot of people know about because he was at a small school, didn't get drafted, all that fun stuff, because I remember hyping him up rookie season. I was like, hey, there could be a Julius Chestnut thing. Just give it some time. And obviously did not work out. But if he gets the option and gives the carries and the targets, which he's going to get in this game, I think he's a flex play at worst, and he could be a back-end RB2 for you. So if you need production, yeah, I'm fine playing him. It just really comes down to who you're playing him over, and that's the biggest thing. Because I'm looking at rankings. He'll probably be, RB20? I'm looking right now. He's going to be in that Dobbins, Madison, Mostert range for me. So basically RB26, give or take. So I'll have him as a back-end RB2, high upside RB3 in that range for me.
Yeah. The desperate times here. How many bye weeks do we have? Are we back to 4? Or are we at
It's
2? I forget what the buys are.
I think it's 2 this week.
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is definitely out.
Pittsburgh and 49ers, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right. So we're back to 2. But don't worry, when it counts in like week 14, there's like 6 teams on by. So
yes, it's bad. bad. I mean, next week we have 4. Week 10 we have Cleveland, Green Bay, Vegas, and the Seahawks, and that's not great.
Yeah. Great. No, but 2 this week, Pittsburgh and the 49ers, get them out of your lineups. Thank you, Scott, as always. HD says, would you start Devonta Smith? 100%. Devonta Smith. Brian Robinson versus the Giants. That's tasty. I like it. Chase Brown versus the Raiders. We love it. James Conner versus the Bears. This is a really good question. For the sake of all this discussion, let's rank these 4 plays this week.
For me, it's Devonta Smith, Chase Brown, Brian Robinson because of the injury, and then James Conner's how I have them ranked. How do these guys rank for you?
Yeah, I almost agree with you. I think I'll put Conner above B-Rob with that injury. It's just a little bit difficult. It's really nice against the Giants. I get it. But yeah, Devonta Smith or Chase Brown here, and I want to go with Smith. Maybe you have a situation with running backs where you can plug Chase Brown in anyway, but we know that Zach Moss is very unlikely to play. In fact, they just elevated a running back, the Bengals did, from their practice squad. So we're really expecting the doubtful Zach Moss to be out. It is Chase Brown full go. That said, Devonta Smith is going to crush against the Jags. So I love that. Who do you think has the safer floor between Smith and Brown?
Brown, just because he's going to get a ton of work. Like, I like Brown or Smith a lot, but like they have not passed a lot the last month. Like it has been one of the lower drop back rates in the NFL. You're relying on efficiency, and I mean they have 2 of the better wide receivers in the NFL, so they're going to be efficient. But if you're strictly going for floor, I think Chase Brown's floor against the Raiders defense is extremely juicy because he doesn't have anyone pushing him. So all the Zach Moss stuff just is going to basically siphon Chase Brown because they're not going to give it to the backup running back. Like they like Chase Brown a lot, so you could see Chase Brown being a high end like RB1 this week if it hits right. I think his floor is like RB20 if it doesn't hit right. So like I think you're in that range of outcomes. Devonta Smith, like he could get 6 targets, 4 receptions, something like that, right? And if he doesn't hit right, then it's just a lower floor. So I think he has a higher ceiling, but also a lower floor. So it really just depends on how you want to go about these guys.
Yep, totally agree. So to that point, if you need the points, go with DBS. Who nobody calls them that anymore. I think we called them that for like 2 weeks last season.
Slim Reaper, baby.
Just stuck in my brain. Slim Reaper. Go with the Slim Reaper if you need that high ceiling, ton of points play. If you just need kind of a baseline, you want 10 to 12 points, plug in Chase Brown. Thank you, HD. We appreciate you. Jamie says, I've seen a Will Levis mayonnaise commercial today. You know it's a good day when you see that. My question to you, Jamie, is did you enjoy it? Like, was it so bad it was good, or was it just bad? I am curious on that. Let's go back to Scott. 2 wide receivers and 2 flex in a high-stakes lead. Is Coker a start in a flex? Are you flexing Coker this week, Jesse? Yes. I know you're a big Coke head. Let's talk.
Oh Jesus, I got to contain my addiction this week. Yeah. So this is the best matchup. Slot wide receivers against the Saints defense. It's absolutely the juiciest matchup you can get for any slot wide receivers. We've seen Juju Smith-Schuster do this. We've seen Ladd McConkey do this. And I'm blanking on the other guy who did it. Oh, Chris Godwin. There's 3 monster performances wide receivers in slot. There's also other guys like we had Xavier Legette, Adam Thielen earlier in the season do well against them. Mm-hmm. What you're doing is you're getting Jalen Coker. He's playing 65% of snaps in the slot. Like he is their slot wide receiver. It's going to be a good day for him. My whole concern is more the upside. Like the offense just isn't very good. So he's not going to put up a Chris Godwin like 11 for 132. Like we're not going to see that, but we could seriously see an 80 like a touchdown type game. Like we can see that in a range of outcomes. So yeah, I have Jalen Coker borderline top 30 wide receiver this week. I'm very much willing to flex him if you need a body for points this week.
Yeah, it looks like Rico, Peyton, Ugo, Amadi. You still got Alontae Taylor there. But those are the guys that they are going to replace Marshawn Lattimore and Kool-Aid McKinstry with in that Saints secondary. I think it's not Adebo. Paulson Adebo out for the season as well, who was playing well earlier in the year. So that Saints secondary is really just trash at this point. The only thing that they can do is make sure that they, try to pound the ball. We're going to talk about who they're going to use to run the ball a little bit later. Spoiler alert, it's Taysom Hill season this week.
Yes, it is.
Fire him up. We got Frizzle here. Frizzle, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Should you pick up Dalvin Cook? So we talked about the fact Jesse mentioned, we talked about the fact that Zeke is out. A blurb just came through. Ezekiel Elliott is being disciplined, and he is not traveling with the team, which is why he is out. This is a mess, right?
Don't do it.
What? Yeah. So Dalvin.
I can't see a scenario where I'm forcing myself to play Dalvin Cook because if you want to look at this guy's efficiency, it is borderline just horrific the last 2 years in the NFL. Remember the Jet situation? Everyone's like, oh yeah, he's going to challenge Brees. He did nothing. He comes in, he gets hyped up in this offseason. They're like, oh, best shape of his life. He looks great in practice. What does he do? He gives you 6 rushing attempts, 12 yards, 1 reception for 10 yards. Like, it's just, he's at that point in his career where I think him and Zeke Elliott both struggle with this. They're not the guys that they were before, and they're still trying to be those guys. I remember we saw the graphic with Ezekiel Elliott where he hurt his back running through one of the drills, and he was like bent over and looking really out of shape. It's just, it happens, man. Like, the cliff happens running back really fast. So I don't think you should pick him up. I would just let other teams deal with that because, like I said before, it's Rico Dowdle's backfield. He's the one NFL running back they have on the roster. I don't think Cook or Zeke are really NFL quality running backs at this point. So I'm staying away. And I don't want to drop Ricky, and I do not want to drop Jalen McMillan. I would play both of those guys over Cook.
But Ricky had a little bit of production, certainly as compared to McMillan last week. So what I would do is just send out a trade offer to somebody in that Dalvin Cook tier. If you're that desperate for running back, go search for Jesse. Give me someone in the Dalvin Cook tier. And Alexander Madison, maybe we've talked about him. He's actually above the Dalvin Cook tier for sure. But it's very possible that someone just does not like the name Alexander Madison. That's often been the case throughout his career. Send Ricky Pearsall and see if you can get an Alexander Madison level player. We appreciate your super chat contribution. Thank you so much, Frizzle. Let's see. We are moving on. Tingley, I'm feeling tingly. Ayo, pick 2 to start in PPR. Leggett, Coker. So we got teammates there. Tolbert, Elijah Moore, Pop with Drake likely playing. Who you got?
So the Elijah Moore stuff, his usage is really, really good the last couple of weeks. He's like a wide receiver 1 type usage and what they're doing the opposite. The difference is Tillman gives you the upside because he's getting all the air yards, like 40% of the air yards. So that's why he gets the big explosive plays. And that's why we've seen Elijah Moore actually get more targets, more things of that nature. So I just hate the matchup for them. So I don't really want to play the Cleveland Browns wide receivers. We talked about this top 30 wide receiver. Coker is going to be the highest one I have of this group. I have Coker, and then I have Elijah Moore. Then I'll do a Leggett just because Leggett's dealing with the injury. Demario Douglas, because Drake May is playing this week, I much more trust Demario Douglas than I did with Jacoby Brissett. And then Jalen Tolbert. The one thing about the Cowboys offense is they can get, I think they're going to be behind, trailing, and it's got the potential for a shootout. I just don't trust Tolbert. That's my biggest concern. So when I get these wide receivers in good, juicy matchups, I still need to see it from them. And what the nice thing about Coker is he's 80 PFF grade. Receiving grade just out of control for a rookie. I get it's a small sample size. I don't care, man. He looks good. He looks like a quality guy. They like him there. So, I'm going Coker above this group. Where are you at with these guys, Jeremy?
Well, Coker, and who was your second guy?
Elijah Moore is my second guy, actually.
Yeah. I get that. I don't want to do the Pop Douglas show for sure. So I don't care that Drake May is going to play this game. I'm just not going to involve myself. He has had 1 game where he has flirted with wide receiver 1 numbers. Otherwise, he's a wide receiver 3 or much, much worse for you. Yeah. So I'm eliminating him from this. Leggett to me is super interesting, but like you said, this is likely a Coker week. Leggett could get there. He's a big body guy. He's going up and winning contested balls as well. So I don't mind the shot on both of those Panthers wide receivers. I don't think Bryce Young's going to have an amazing day, but I think he can kind of elevate both of those guys in this matchup. But like you said, for me, it's definitely Coker, and it's between Leggett and Elijah Moore. Tolbert is a no. Pop is a no for me.
Yeah, it's that range where you have a lot of question marks with those guys, right? So it's kind of just pick a point.
Jamie checking back in with the Will Levis mayonnaise commercial. It was horrible. He was no. Oh man. Jamie, please post the link to this in the chat for everyone to see. I'm very interested in, maybe we should do a live viewing of this Will Levis commercial on air here on the Roundtable. Good Lord. What are we doing? He's not even playing. All right. Jonah Mancuso. Jonah, how you doing? Who should I have as my flex? Javonte Williams, D-Hop, Keon Coleman, or Cedric Tillman. So this is 1 spot for these 4 guys in half PPR.
So as much as I was just ragging on Tillman and the matchup he has, he is the highest ranked guy I have of this group. I have Tillman and Coleman right next to each other. I do hate this matchup for Javonte Williams.
You can't.
The rushing is not there this week. Baltimore is they have a brick wall. You cannot run against them. It does not happen. So the Javonte stuff needs to come through the air. He needs to get a touchdown. Like he hasn't been getting his target rate's not great.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna chase the wide receivers in this matchup. Usually I wouldn't. So I would go between Coleman and Tillman on my top two. I like Hopkins, but I need to see it. Like I want to play him, but like we just need to see that role like come to maturity. Where we have Tillman, who's been really good. Coleman's been really good too. So I think Coleman's playing really Miami. Good. Like it's not as bad as a matchup as like and Tillman gets him. Like I don't mind Tillman this week.
Yeah, Tillman, I can't do it with Tillman this week. I mean, I'm not chasing the points with him. He was a big sell for me. I can eat my words because we know Jameis is going to sling the ball probably about 40 times in this one. So I get it. But Keon Coleman for me is probably the guy here. He's looked amazing, right? I love that play. It came against your Seattle Seahawks at your expense, Jesse. Remind me who the corner was.
I don't even want to talk about Tariq Woolen. Just couldn't body.
Oh yeah, Tariq Woolen, right? Great corner. So, the play before Reek is in his face, knocks it down. He's talking crap. The next play, Keon, they go back to Keon on the other side of the field. He just mosses them again and comes down the football with one hand. It was
crazy. I will say DeAndre Hopkins that Patrick Mahomes. This is the best matchup for a quarterback. Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. They're atrocious. So you could do the Hopkins thing. I need to see his role. That's my whole issue with it. I don't know what it's going to be. But Juju's out. It's literally Xavier Worthy and Hopkins. I trust Worthy. I have Worthy right higher than Hopkins this week. But yeah, you could do Hopkins if you want to.
Yeah, I'll go Keon. I get it. Javonte, you're not going this week. Hopkins, yeah, we'll see. The Buccaneers defense is completely healthy for the first time this year. You got Levante David playing and whoever that is, Winfield on the back end. How healthy? I don't know, but they're playing. Yeah, moving on. Kyron TD this week.
Every week.
Probably.
It's just it's every. I mean, against the Seahawks, yeah. I would take that bet.
The question is how many over under 2.5 TDs for Kyron Williams.
Okay, let's pull up the brakes on 2.5. But yeah, he no surprise. He has the highest TD odds in this game. I mean, he's a TD machine. His usage is out of control. He's like a top 5 running back each every week. You know what you're getting from Kyron. It's basically we're to the point where he expects a touchdown every week from Kyron. That's just how good it is for him. And that offense with both those wide receivers back, it transforms them into a top 5 NFL offense. Like it's the EPA, everything is just out of control with them now. So this is why I'm terrified of them this week. I want no part of the Rams.
Insane. Did not score last week, did not score on the ground last week, but 2 touchdowns in, what does he have? 7 games played here because they had the bye already. Yeah, I think he gets 2.
Yeah, he's got double-digit touchdowns already. We've played 7 games. He's got double-digit touchdowns. It's absurd.
And Puka might be out, we think.
No, they said he's going to play, I think. So I know he's dealing with it, but they're expecting him to go. If he's on the field, man, even if he's doing 40% of snaps and routes, like
you play.
You saw what they use him as. That target rate's going to be 50%. I'm playing all those guys.
Yeah. Scott, love you. Yeah. Absolutely. This is who are these guys?
You want to throw me some money? I'll go play corner. I'll get cooked. I don't mind.
These guys are using the Will Levis mayonnaise and just putting it all over the burritos there before they send it through. Scott, again, Mike McCarthy called Zeke in his office, said, "You're a bad boy." That's what he did. Go stand in the corner. You're not invited on the bus. Ridiculous stuff. I don't even know what the hell's going on. All right, so we're assuming Puka's playing. We know he's probably a little bit hobbled with that knee that popped up midweek, or Josh Jacobs with likely now Jordan Love, who's going to play, and not Malik Willis, so not the heavy volume from Josh Jacobs. What do you like in half PPR?
Jacobs gets the Lions, so I'm not doing that because Jacob. Like the thing about Jacobs, he's not earned a lot of targets in that offense. Like it's been okay, it's been solid, but like you need your running backs to get there on like in the air. Like against the ground against the Lions, like I don't want to do it. Now he can get a touchdown. We're talking about, but Puka, Puka against the Seahawks. Give me Puka. I'm going with Puka. Like he just, I get it if you have concerns, but I feel much better about Puka's floor and ceiling in this matchup than I do Jacobs.
Yeah, midweek we were much more excited about Josh Jacobs because we were assuming it was going to be Malik Willis. If that's the case, he was going to get 30 carries just like he did back in week 2. But that is unlikely. He got 25 carries last week, but that was against a terrible defense. This is the best run defense in the league in Detroit. So I agree with you. You got to go Puka. Knicks is Baker or Stafford.
It's tough. Baker's been really, really good. He plays the Chiefs this week, though. That's the hard part, right? So it's like I think I have Stafford above him. I need to double check, but I'm pretty sure I have Stafford above him this week.
Stafford at 7, Baker at 18.
Yeah,
matchup, I got maybe.
Yeah, I'm Baker at like 15, but yeah, I'm definitely with Stafford against the Seahawks defense. There, it's been super up or down for that defense. Now they can show up. We'll see it. I'm not betting against Stafford and that fully healthy like skill position players they have there.
Yeah. Jamie's doing the Lord's work. Look out for that Will Levis commercial link coming soon to the chat. Let's hope. Meat Slayer 1990. I don't get it, but I love it. Burrow or Knicks? Let's start there, Jesse. I love this question because this is close.
Well, and also with no T. Higgins, like the metrics with and without T. Higgins are like, we're the best offense in the NFL, mediocre offense. Now, I get it. We can get the gritty king going. Mike Gesicki, he gets to live his slot life if there's no T. Higgins. So you could fire up Mike Gesicki as like a tight end one. But overall, yeah, like I still have Burrow slightly above Knicks, but I might just pull the trigger on Knicks. I get it because they can get into also they can be down double digits, and this is where Knicks can get his scrambling going too. Like he has multiple ways to pay off. But like it's Burrow against the Raiders, man. It's really hard to bench Burrow in this scenario. Yeah. So I still have Burrow a couple spots above him, but yeah, you can do the Knicks thing. Who do you have, Dobbins or Madison? Because like I know who my guy is, but I'm curious who your guy is for that one.
I'm checking the matchups right here. I'm probably pretty fairly high on Dobbins.
Dobbins gets Cleveland. Madison gets.
Oh no. Can I read my rankings? Let's see. No, Madison. Madison 27. Dobbins. Oh, there's 25. So super close here. Bad matchup plus good matchup. I get it if you want to go Madison. Dobbins he's a volume monster in this offense. There is literally nobody else getting touches. I will go Dobbins, but it is close.
Yeah, like the thing with Madison is just always inefficient, but like the volume has been really, really good the last couple of weeks. They have to keep pace with him. This is one of the highest scoring overrunners. I think it's 47.5 in this week. Like there's going to be a lot of points. Like I prefer Madison. I'm going to chase those points in the game because I don't like them. Like the scenario, like Dobbins needs the touchdowns. Madison can get there a little bit more on the air. So like I prefer him. But yeah, it's a really good question. It's a really good running back who's efficient, even though his efficiencies come down versus a volume merchant who's not the most efficient player in the world. So like I get it.
I want to scream from the rafters before we move on that Bo Nix is starting. He's a top 12 quarterback this week. You need to fire him up. Burrow and Nix is a close conversation, and they're both hovering around QB6 for us this week. The Baltimore pass defense is not good. This is something we ran into on Reddit earlier this week, where people just think the Baltimore pass defense is good. They're not. This is something that fantasy analysts, I see them commenting on Twitter in the last couple of days, that people are scared of this Baltimore defense. Stop. Okay. They're not doing anything against the pass. You need to fire up Bo Nix in most cases. And when you have a top end quarterback like Joe Burrow, it's a conversation. So I think this is a totally legit, discussion here between Burrow or Nix. And like we said, we're probably going to fire up Nix, even though we like Burrow.
Yeah. This is where the range where it gets really hard to pull the trigger on Knicks because you're dealing with the best quarterbacks in the NFL. That's the thing. I will say with T. Higgins is likely expected to be out, so that's the thing that worries me. If T. Higgins was playing, I think Burrow's an auto start. I think it's debatable. You could go either way. Like I still have Burrow above him. I don't think I have the stones to put Bo Nix above Burrow this week, but it would not shock me to see if he outscores like Burrow. I will say that.
Yeah, like I said, I have it. I think it's 5 and 7. Where do you have them, Jesse?
I think the same range. I have Knicks at 8. I think I need to double check 1 second. So I think I moved Burrow down a spot. Sorry. Yeah. So I put Cousins above Burrow. I have Cousins in top 5 now. Burrow's at 6. And I have Darnold at 7 and Knicks at 8. So like that's the kind of range we're talking about with these guys. So yeah.
Burrow 5, Knicks 8 as well for me. Moving on, Tingley, we appreciate you. What DST would you play? We said the Pats, they are very high indeed, higher than the Titans for me, or the Rams against Seattle. Interesting choice there with the Rams. Jesse, you still going Pats?
Yeah, there's definitely a capped ceiling without DK Metcalf in the Seahawks offense. It just is what it is. Like you have his ADOT was abysmal last week, Geno Smith, because it's like the JSN offense. And by the way, it's not good. We need somebody to take off the top. Yeah, I'm still gonna play the Pats against the Titans. Like Titans offense is just it's really bad offensively. Yeah, but the Rams could have a good game. Like Seahawks give up an insane amount of pressure. The Rams have been really good with versing those guys getting home, and I expect them to make it a nightmare for Geno. So he's gonna have to play out of his mind. He's done it all year, so we'll see if he could do it. I don't mind going the Rams, but I'm going Pats.
For sure. Who gets the most sacks out of this group? I think it's the Rams by a lot.
Yeah, I think so too.
But yeah, I think the Pats are going to turn over Mr. Mayonnaise or whoever the hell is playing behind him, Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, it's not a holiday season yet, Mason.
it never will be for him, unfortunately. What do we think? Tua over 0.5 interceptions? I would say probably. Drake over 200 yards? That's a tough one. Barkley over 90 is probably as well. What do you like?
Yeah, I like Saquon's like RB1 this week. So yeah, we're gonna take the over 90 rushing yards. 200 is not a high bar to clear. I think Drake can get you over 200. And Tua's playing the Bills defense. Yeah, I mean it just doesn't even matter to tell you the truth to get 200. Like I think he can get there. And yeah, I'm taking over on all these. Like I'm expecting a 2 interception against the Bills defense. Like that is usually will happen at one point with Tua sometimes. So yeah, I'm fine with all the overs on these. I think the most questionable one is 90 is a lot. I will say like I'm the most skeptical of Barkley 90, but like he's been so good, man. It's just like you just fire him up.
Yeah, for me, the 201 is questionable. I do expect that the Bills will turn him over. They played him earlier this year. They had 3 interceptions against Tua and knocked him out for a month and a half. But the thing is he hasn't thrown any interceptions in his other 2 starts. They're limiting him. And what they're doing is they're giving the ball to Devon Achane, 65% of the time. They're giving the ball to Raheem Mostert 35% of the time. And they're just running their offense through the running game. They did it last week. I think they're going to do it again this week because you can absolutely crush Buffalo on the ground. And through the air, it's a lot more difficult. But does he throw an interception? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a good defense. Like they'll find a way to get it on them. Like I think it really just depends on how you feel about the other 2. Like they're solid bets to make. Like there's definitely a risk for them though.
Yep. If you are still here with us, we appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. We are live 4 times a week, I believe. We're recorded shows a couple other weeks. We have daily shorts that come out on multiple channels. We're on X, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram. You can find us at fantasyfootballuniverse.com. We appreciate you. And we are live tomorrow before the games, 90 minutes before kickoff for Start Sit Live as well. 1-6-5-0-H, Ohio 50, I don't know. Sick of the police, who knows? F the police, full PPR. Do you want Tillman or, although we respect our, the people who keep our streets said, do you want Cedric Tillman and taking the top off the defense, or do you want to go underneath with Khalil Shakir?
He's at 24% target per outrun. Like it's really good the way they're using him. And like I think I want to see it with Cooper. That's the one thing that's a little bit concerning. I think he's dealing with an injury, so that's why he's been a little bit limited. But I mean, right now you have Keon Coleman and Shakir, like the 1-2 passing options on that offense.
Yep.
Until that changes, like I'm fine firing up Shakir. He's Josh Allen's his quarterback, man. He's doing really good. It's a lot of like low A-dot stuff. They're expecting him to be kind of like a yak guy in that offense. What's interesting is like Keon Coleman's been absolutely absurd at yak, but like these guys are doing really good. So I have Shakir 28. I have Tillman a few spots lower. So yeah, I have Shakir.
I have Khalil Shakir at 19 this week. Super spicy. I am chasing those points against a Miami defense that has been the best against the pass because no one has had to pass against them. Yes. Buffalo will. Buffalo is going to absolutely crush yet again another bad defense in back-to-back weeks here and fire up Shakir by a lot. Don't chase those Tillman points. There's only going to be a couple of games where you're going to be comfortable putting Tillman in, unfortunately. He could go off, but he's got a lot of tough matchups ahead.
Yeah, like we just saw Kyler go 300 plus against that Miami Dolphins defense. So yeah.
Civet says, will you trade Tyreek and Jonathan Taylor for Derrick Henry and Jaden Reed?
Nope. As much as I like Reed, he's been very up or down the past month.
Yes.
So there's a little bit. So it's a big drop off from Tyreek to Reed. The drop off from Henry to Taylor might seem like it's significant, but Henry's role is not like RB1. He's like a mid-range RB1. He's just playing out of his mind. So like, I get it. But Jonathan Taylor's still, 19 points a game? Like he's been really good. So I think when you're getting Tyreek Hill back to being a top 5 wide receiver, you get Jonathan Taylor, top 6 running back. That outweighs like the massive advantage you get from Derrick Henry because Jaden Reed's been so up and down the past month. So that's where I lean. Where you at with these two?
Yeah, agree with you. Jaden Reed has started off really hot, and then it's really cooled off the last few weeks, especially against bad defenses. You can pass all over Houston. He only had 4 targets. He was 2 for 10. You can do whatever you want to Jacksonville. He only had 3 targets. He was 2 for 55. Hasn't found the end zone. He's the half PPR wide receiver 82 and wide receiver 56 in back-to-back weeks. No. So, yeah, it's just like you said, it's going to be up and down. Reed will have boom weeks. Tyreek will have boom weeks. And the Tyreek boom weeks will give you wide receiver 1 overall more often than Jaden Reed, who has already done it this season, will do. So, yeah, love Reed, the player. There's too many mouths. Give me the Tyreek side.
I like it.
More Tyreek. Otten or Njoku? Let's start there first. These are your boys, Jesse. How do you choose between your children here? Do you want Cade Otten or David Njoku starting for you this week?
So Otten's got the juicy matchups against the Kansas City Chiefs. They get destroyed by tight ends. I don't know what it is on their defense specifically, but they're giving up double-digit points per game to tight ends. I just really love David Njoku, so I'm not going to rank him above David Njoku. I'm not going to blame everyone that does, but Njoku, that is like legit my child this season. I'm like, we are riding with him. So there is some bias on the Njoku side. And yeah, as much as we like Marvin Harrison Jr., Tyreek is still like, it's hard for a healthy Tyreek with Tua to knock him outside top 5 wide receivers. I really can't each week. So yeah, I like Marvin Harrison Jr., but I'm going Tyreek and I'm going David Njoku. If you want to go Otten, no, feel free. Like Otten's just smash play this week.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so hard. Yeah, I have David Njoku as my tight end 3 this week. I mean, you just can't fade that man. He's Mr. Necessary. And like I said, I don't expect Cedric Tillman to repeat what he did. That means there's just going to be more for David Njoku to kind of soak up. I expect Njoku to have an Otten game this week. And Otten just to have just a David Njoku week. So give me Njoku this week. MHJ or Tyreek? Will Tyreek get back to form this week against Buffalo?
Yes, like I'm not worried about Tyreek. Like I get it. Like people were like starting to question it. It's been an up and down season with Tua. Like Tyreek's still the best wide receivers in the NFL. Like we're still waiting from that Marvin Jr. We did get the usage last week, so I will say we get the usage. I need to see it for a second week before I fully buy into that usage. Where I put Marvin Harrison Jr. inside my top 12 wide receivers. He's still outside that, but yeah, if it happens again, like I'll put Marvin Harrison Jr. close to him, but no, still Tyreek.
Yeah, and I am looking to see if there is anybody from that Chicago secondary out already. I do not think so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they are healthy again. Yeah. We saw them kind of come back to form last week. And if it wasn't for Tyreek Stevenson, thinking the game was over before the game was over, then they would have won that game and severely limited Jaden Daniels the entire game, allowing the pass rush to get home as well. So yeah, that secondary is legit. MHA is going to be on the struggle bus this week. Give me Tyreek, even though he also has a difficult matchup. Yeah. Jamie is on the case. Jamie, we're going to check in. It's against the rules. Damn it. All right. Everybody go out and search the Will Levis Mayo commercial. Maybe we will do this before we sign off today to watch the Will Levis commercial live with you. And guess what? We will do this before we sign off today. I will make it my mission to find the Will Levis mayonnaise commercial. Good Lord. Yes. This was decided a couple of hours ago. It came through. He is playing, as is Antoine Winfield, who was kind of expected to miss. He's going to play as well. So they're relatively healthy, I guess. You can assume that Tampa Bay, the middle of that defense and the secondary, it doesn't matter. They suck. David's past his prime, so is Winfield. I mean, it's just there's nothing you could do. They're doing their best out there, but this is why we love Baker Mayfield and company for fantasy, because you can get by on that defense. Yep. Jesse, we appreciate you. If you appreciate us like Jesse does, please like and subscribe. We are here again today, every Saturday. We are here before kickoffs on Sunday. We do a lot of other lives during the week. We try to always kind of be involved. We're on Twitter answering your questions, and we're also kind of giving away promos. Let's say that you are in Kansas City and you want to go see Patrick Mahomes make a fool of himself for fantasy purposes, but win your football game for the Kansas City Chiefs. You can go to SeatGeek, use our promo code there, FF Universe, for $20 off your first order. We're working on that, but hey, guess what? Just use the promo code. If you want to go to a game, get $20 off. That's basically what we're doing here. So we appreciate you. And that's that. We'll be here tomorrow. But we got a bunch of questions left to answer. I lost my place. Here we go. Jamie again. One of the best cornerbacks for sure. One of the best.
Matchup.
Cedric Tillman has the most difficult schedules for wide receiver for the rest of the season. If you look, I'm going to have to pull it up now. Jesse, this is my favorite thing to talk about. I tweeted about it. Why don't you fill for 15 seconds for me while
I got you. I can't. You want me? You want the list of teams he plays? So he plays the Chargers this week. They have a bye.
Yeah.
Saints, Steelers, Broncos, Steelers again, Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, and Ravens to close out. Now the Ravens matchup is juicy, but yeah, it's a lot of bad folks. So like, I know we're really hyped for Tillman, and I will say he's been their best wide receiver. He's been like, I get it, the usage is still really good. So like, I don't mind playing him. I'm not going to completely just fade the crap out of him because he's been good. He's been super efficient. And like with Jameis Winston, that's the thing. You can always connect. You can hit these deep shots, which if anyone's going to do in that offense, it's going to be Tillman because he's a downfield threat, getting all the ADOT, the air yards, and that fun stuff. But yeah, it's more like we're just trying to temper expectations for Tillman. We're not treating him as like a locked-in guy you have to play each and every week. If you have, like, I'd play him over JSN. Like, I do that. I just don't trust JSN in the offense. But overall, like, it's that range of wide receiver we're talking about. Like, he's a top 36 wide receiver moving forward. And it just kind of varies. Now, if he balls out again this week, it's going to be like, all right, I'm just going to stop fading this guy because he's really good, right? So we will see.
Very true.
But
very true.
He looks like a real NFL wide receiver who's finally gotten a gig going. If you remember back at Tennessee, he was the X. He did get hurt, and then that is when Jalen Hyatt took off and won the Blitnikoff. Is because Tillman went down. If you look back, like Tillman was balling out, he was their best wide receiver. He goes down with an injury. Jalen Hyatt takes off, and it's that Mickey Mouse offense. So he's a real NFL wide receiver who's good. Like that's kind of just what you got to look at it. It's just we need to pump the brakes on the hype.
Yeah, I can't find it, but he's definitely facing 4 of the top 8 in fewest fantasy points allowed to wide receivers throughout the rest of the schedule. His playoff schedule is not great, even though it gets a little bit nicer. But I do not know why people are touting Cedric Tillman as this plug-and-play flex option weekly. You're really going to have to play the matchups with him. I know Jameis is going to sling the ball, but there's other options in this offense, and Tillman is that big-body deep threat. Of course, he can get there any week, but I really think he's a lot more volatile than people are making him out to be. Jamie hits the nail on the head yet again.
I found your tweet, by the way. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah. What does it say?
All right. So it goes, their schedule is awful. He's not a one-hit wonder. But here's what it says. Chargers, 30th in fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. And he has the bye. The Saints are 7th, so the Saints are going to fire him up. Then he gets Pittsburgh twice, who's 28th. Denver's 32nd. Denver's awful. Kansas City, 24th. Cincinnati, 17th. Miami's 31st. I mean, then, so like it's going to be tough. Like it's not an easy schedule for him. Like we'll say that.
Crazy. The Steelers just coming through. The Athletic says the Steelers want to trade for Brandon Ayuk. Oh, no. Sorry. They want to trade for a wide receiver after they failed to get Brandon Ayuk. It's like, wait a minute. That does not compute. No. So
Britain's going, don't do that right now.
Yeah.
Hey, they could have, like gotten Deontay Johnson for peanuts. Like I'm just saying, it's so interesting that the Commanders are like, hey, we need a wide receiver. It's like all the wide receivers have been traded. Who are you going to get now? Like, who are you even going to get in the wide receiver market at this point? It's like you were too late, my friends. Give Jane Daniels.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be Cooper Kupp, right? It's not going to be Cooper Kupp anymore. Who is available?
I'm trying to think. I think it's like veteran wide receivers on bad teams, and they're few and far between. The guys are producing. I mean, you could do the Calvin Ridley thing, but he's got a fat contract, so it's like good luck. Yeah. You'd have to get Tennessee to eat a lot of that. They're not going to want to do that, right? So it's like I'm trying to think off the top of my brain. I'm blanking. I don't know if you have anybody that comes to mind for you. But
Bourne isn't a difference maker. You're not going to deal him.
Because you're going to pay like what a back end like a 3 or a 4 for this type of wide receiver. So it's like, I know there's probably a couple guys. I'm just blanking on who you would even get at this range.
How bad is Roman Wilson? That's really what I'm wondering. In Pittsburgh, I know he hasn't been healthy, but he's healthy now. Yeah.
He's not good, man. He's a slot. Like, this is the thing about Roman Wilson coming out. I was like, he's a slot wide receiver. Like, he's not good at winning routes. And if you're a slot wide receiver, is not good at winning a route, like you're in the slot, but it's not good, man. Like, that's why I was very confused why they took Roman Wilson there. And then they traded Deontay, and I was like, you're going to go with Van Jefferson as your number 2? I was like, ooh, boy, that's rough.
Crazy. Tyler, what is going on? Tyler, thanks for coming back. With Love now playing, do you want Jaden Reed, Coleman, or Amari Cooper? I think the question here is, do you trust Amari at all yet? And if not, Reed or Coleman?
I mean, it's the Lions, so I'm firing up Reed. Like they're not good. Like we talked about defenses, they're really bad against the pass. I'm gonna play Reed. You could do Coleman or Amari Cooper this week. I like both of them, but yeah, like I have Reed as a top 40 like overall player this week. I'm firing up Jaden Reed. You just gotta hope it kind of bounces back and he gets some plays because like he's clearly a playmaker. They just kind of gone away from him a little bit. So I want to play Reed. I want to play Dobbs. I kind of want to play all those pass catchers and crap this week.
Yep, I have Reed at 22. He is my highest. Cooper 26, and Keon shouldn't be too far behind 34. I don't love that. I might need to move Keon Coleman up. But yeah, it is Jaden Reed. Sadly, I want it to be Coleman. I want it to be Cooper, but it is Jaden Reed this week. Jeffrey, hey guys, I'm 12-4 in first place. Made a big trade. What do we think about this trade? Gave up F1, BTJ, and Javante. That's a haul for Brees and Nico, full PPR. I mean, love it, Jesse.
Yep. Yeah, you get Nico. He's as long as he's healthy, he's going to be a top 3 wide receiver. And Brees. Though the weird thing with Brees, this is the concern. They went away from like the first 2 weeks with Todd Downing. He was locked in high end, like the RB1. And it's like, oh, guess what? Let's bring Braylon back into the fold. And Braylon Allen's done like next to nothing. He's been super inefficient in that offense since Todd Downing took over. And I'm like, I don't know, just give us the better running back. Like, let's feature back with Brees. Let's go that way. So. Yeah, I think it's a buy low on both Brees and Nico. It does suck giving up BTJ and giving up McLaurin. Those are both really good wide receivers, but you're tearing up into like the elite of the elites. So 100% with you. Like Javante, I don't know. I'll play Javante. Like if I'm flexing Javante, I'm feeling kind of just nuts with Groot, especially this week against Denver.
Yeah.
Or I mean, excuse me, both.
As much as you guys love BTJ and Terry has been balling out, but yeah, give me Nico coming back. Just hopefully, those soft tissue things make it tough. But hopefully he gets back to 100% quickly, and then you got Brees by far. Roman Wilson back on IR as of a couple of days ago for his hamstring. He's going to miss the next 4 games. That is terrible. Is he awesome? I don't know. He's injured. Does he have Lad McConkey type skills? Maybe Lad McConkey type, but he does not have Lad McConkey skills.
But no, it's okay. Like, I'll root for him. I'll root for players. When I thought of him coming out, I did not think he was a quality NFL wide receiver, and it's kind of just been like we're waiting to see it. And you've heard kind of like the head coach talk about him, like he needs to like get up to speed and progress. Whenever you hear that, you're like, yeah, it's gonna be a while. So yeah, it might be an extra thing. Like they'll probably feature him as long as he's healthy. But yeah, these soft tissue injuries are brutal, and this is what we're seeing with Nico right now. Like, right, it's just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, Tyler. Yeah, we love Keon Coleman, but it is a Jaden Reed week, like we said. So fire him up. A couple of questions. Let's actually do this one first. Is Josh Downs the wide receiver 1 in Indy? But more importantly, what the hell, Michael Pittman?
I mean, so now we get Michael Pittman back in our lives because we have like Joe Flacco, right? He can support them. Yep. But yeah, this was kind of where we were talking about the offseason. Like Michael Pittman was the sell of all sells because we did not expect him to be that ridiculous volume merchant he was last year. Like he wasn't going to see 150 plus targets again. Because Josh Downs is a good NFL wide receiver. They bring in AD Mitchell, like they bring these pieces in, right? So you kind of see the writing on the wall. And by the way, it was Anthony Richardson starting the year too. So it was just like, how is this going to work out for Michael Pittman? It just hasn't. Now he did get back to life last week, and I think he could be fine with Flacco. But like long term, Pittman's just that wide receivers that really don't matter in fantasy. So it's just like guys that you have in life. So dynasty wise, like it's just tough with those guys. If you're not a difference maker and you're in that kind of where you're starting to age up into the older, and he's not old, but he's getting there, So yeah, I mean, I would much prefer Josh Downs. Much prefer Josh. I just think he's better overall wide receiver who go in consistently.
Pittman has played every game this season. He's getting all of the snaps he can handle, high 80s in most games. He's averaging 6.5 to 7 targets per game. He's scored twice. This is half PPR. He's finished no better than wide receiver 21 on the season this year, even in a game, and that was a game he didn't score. He went 6 for 113 with no scores. He's not getting there, right? Like he's not capable of those elite ceiling games. You know who is Josh Downs? Josh Downs is absolutely crushing with or without Anthony Richardson. I know it's a broken play with Anthony Richardson, but with Flacco, I mean, you said it, the heavy target volume for Josh Downs. I think it was 9, 12, and 9 for him in Flacco games. We're expecting another approaching double-digit target game this week. Josh Downs is absolutely crushing, and he is the clear number 1. Alec Pierce has all but disappeared. Hope you sold him when you had the chance. He's going to have. He's a best ball guy. He's a best ball guy.
Yeah, I will say Pittman. This is kind of a weird stat where you have to you're zooming in a little too much, but in games where Flacco is thrown at 25 pass attempts or more, he's averaging 14 plus points per game, which is like wide receiver 22 on a points per game status. So I think you should be playing Pittman this week. I think he's very viable for you, but the ceiling case, for chasing ceiling is Josh Downs. That's just is what it is. And he looks great, and he's against Joe Flacco, so it's just cook him all day, baby.
Let's move on to some of the juiciest playoff schedules. If you are 6-2, if you are 7-1, 8-0, you want to be looking toward the playoffs and stacking your teams. I have a couple of these, Jesse, so feel free to jump in and stop me. But the Eagles have the best playoff schedule across the board. The problem with the Eagles is they're incredibly hard to buy. Jalen Hurts is already the QB3. Saquon, I don't know where he is at the moment, but he's like a top 6 running back so far on the season. Those wide receivers, everybody, you're not getting by on any fantasy managers. Here's 2 more teams that you should consider who have very nice playoff schedules. The Buccaneers, you can certainly get some of those wide receivers, especially Jalen McMillan. Potentially still Cade Otton is a buy low candidate because Chris Godwin is there. Mike Evans, coming off that injury. I'm a little concerned. Again, we're talking soft tissue, but go after him. And Bucky Irving, if you can. He's not easy to buy. I've tried in a few spots this week and got the door slammed in my face, but that's one. And then the other one, Jesse, I'll say is the Broncos. They have an incredibly easy schedule. We know Bo Nix is cooking. I like Javante's playoff schedule, and he's a super buy low for me. I went out and bought Cortland Sutton in a 16-teamer to fill my wide receiver 3 hole. It didn't feel good, but I sent away Quentin Johnston to get Cortland Sutton for that steady production. I mean, my team's in that league is an animal, so I just need 10 points from him on a weekly basis, which I think I can get. And in the playoffs, their schedule is cakey as well. So I say, if you have Eagles, great, hold them. If you can go out and get Bucks, do so, and go get some Broncos if you're a contender for the playoff push.
Yeah, and the one guy you didn't talk about who leads the team in points per game at the running back position is Rachaad White, because he ran twice as many routes last week as Bucky Irving. He's still the passing down back of that offense. And they're going to get these games where they have to play shootout. That's just how their defense is. And Baker Mayfield's been balling out. So I think until Mike Evans comes back, Rachaad White is very much a featured point of this passing attack. So yes, when I caught myself there, I said, "Oh no!" And he still has a stank on him. People don't like Rachaad White. That's the thing. They just don't like him. Yeah. So he's probably the easiest guy to buy that offense. I think it's harder to buy Bucky. To your point, it's easier to buy Rachaad White or Cade Otton. Those are the 2 guys. And people are starting to catch on to Cade Otton, but I think you can get in now and still get him at a discounted price. So those would be the 2 guys. And with Denver, you just kind of know what it is. I think you should just buy Bo Nix if you're buying to buy those guys. But if you want to buy Sutton, Sutton's the guy that gets the volume in that offense. It's just gonna be up or down because he's like the George Pickens. He plays downfield. He does these acrobatic things. It's just gonna be up or down. You have to live with it. But I like those offenses. Those are good ones.
Totally agree. Another low key one, although I am pumping the brakes on buying them, is the Titans. Titans have an amazing playoff schedule. That's Calvin Ridley. That's Tony Pollard. Those are guys that you want to potentially buy, and you can buy certainly Pollard for cheap right now. And I will say Jamie is going off in the chat. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say the Bears playoff schedule is really good down the stretch. DJ Moore gets there's something I saw. He gets Lions, Vikings, Seahawks to round out the season, and you're like, you know what? That's pretty good matchup. So I will say you could buy those. You could buy those pass catchers. You could buy the get it now, and you could do Rome. If you really want to. I'm not giving up on my boy Room, and you could also do the DeAndre Swift thing, right? You could. It's expensive with Swift now, but you can still do it, right? So you just kind of have to pick your spots. There's good teams to target. You could do the Steelers if you wanted to as well. It's not bad as well, but it's just the offense is not as good, so it's it's harder to buy into that offense. Also.
We talked about Swift earlier this week. He's getting there on the ground with no passing volume. At least he did there last game, right? The passing volume is there. Just he got no targets last game, and he still crushed on the ground. Ridiculous. This is not the type of thing that I thought Swift was capable of in this offense. They're really using him well. He looks good. That offensive line is holding up in the run game. So I really, really like Swift rest of season. And like you said, he might have some down matchups, but certainly the playoffs look great. Jamie going off in the chat about the AFC North. But let's quickly talk about this. Tillman wins Offensive Player of the Year. The Browns finish 11-6. Kevin Stefanski is the new Andy Reid. What do you think about this take from Browns homer Jamie in the chat?
I think if they finish 11-6, James Winston gets comeback player of the year. Is how that works out, right? Like because they're going to be slaying the rock, much like Flacco did last year, right? It's going to be very similar to that. I just think based on them getting it last year, they really don't want to go back to the low with Cleveland. They're like, hey, yeah, let's give it to Cleveland again. It's like, nah, you guys put yourself in this bad situation with Deshaun Watson. This is your guys' fault. So no, we're not going to do that. But yeah, like they could finish in that range. Like their offense is that good. The defense, it's still solid. Like it's just quality NFL defense. So yeah, I just don't know how Tillman gets Offensive Player of the Year. Like he needs to be out of control good at wide receiver because he's got to be better than the Justin Jeffersons, the AJ Browns, those guys of the world. And that's just you're asking for so much for him. Like I think it's much more like he gets comeback player of the year, but like you're not really coming back from not playing. So it's a tough path for him. But yeah, like that would be nice. And yeah, if they could trade Stefanski for Andy Reid, sure. Like yeah, go do that. That would be great.
Yeah. If everything else happens, go ahead and read the chat. It's a good read. I promise you, Jamie knows his stuff. But yeah, Ravens by a lot in that division, Jamie. Sorry.
Yes.
Danzel, welcome in, Danzel. Gesicki or Henry this week? Let's assume T. Higgins is out. We don't know yet. Let's assume he's out. Do you want Mike Gesicki or Hunter Henry?
Yeah, I'm pulling up the stats that show Gesicki without T. Higgins. It's actually really good. Give me a second while I steamroll through this. Yeah, I'm firing up Gesicki this week. Here it is. Games without T. Higgins. His target percent, 20% of targets. His air yards, 21% air yards. His yards per route run is almost 3. First read target share, which is incredibly important, 25%. This tells you Gesicki is a feature point of their offense without T. Higgins. So if T. Higgins is out, Gesicki slots in and play on words there. He plays a slot role for them. And yeah, he's a feature point. So he will be a top 12 tight end for me in rankings. And whenever T. Higgins is off the field, it just kind of is what it is. Because Josevich is not good. He just isn't really doing much of anything. And they're still waiting on what's his name, the rookie. I'm blanking on his name there. The young guy. Yes, Burton. He's starting to get some snaps, but it's been super inconsistent with Burton. He's kind of needs to get out of his own way. So yeah, he could be an end of season thing. But yeah, I'll play Gesicki.
Yeah. One thing to note is that L'Jarius Sneed is out for this game. That's just going to affect the entire back end there. So I think Henry has, if you have to kind of move coverage to some of these wide receivers, not that they're great for New England, but Drake May, we know, is playing now. So there's more of the threat of kind of running around and passing. And Henry has looked good with Drake May. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. If T is out, is Gesicki. It's Gesicki. If T is in, I will consider Hunter Henry. I have these guys back to back in my ranks right now. Yeah, Higgins is doubtful. We expect he doesn't play for sure. Goff or Tua rest of season. I love it. What do you think?
Goff. This is actually the interesting thing for Goff is this is the first outdoor game he's played all year. Like it's been all dome games for him, and then I think he only has 3 outdoor games all year. So if you have Goff in the dome, like he's just gonna cook. It is what it is. The offensive line keeps him upright. They were talking about it today, or Dan Campbell, not today, earlier this week. Dan Campbell was like, got to make sure your cleats are right. Lambeau Field. That's the one thing that's important. It's like, I mean, yeah, sure. As long as it's not raining. So Goff this week, I'm a little bit down on because it's supposed to rain, kind of that inclement weather, which isn't great for Goff because he has like a smaller hands issues with that weather. But yeah, like Goff in the dome is just like fire him up, baby. Like I like Jared Goff. I still want to see it from Tua personally.
Totally agree with you. It's Goff. Probably not this week, but 2 against Buffalo this week. But yeah, rest of the season for me. Let's go Goff. They absolutely put it to whoever they played last week. Who the hell they played last week? 52 points.
Titans, the down bad Tennessee Titans. Man, it was not good.
Yeah,
it was not good. And they have some juicy matchups like throughout the year, where you can basically just lock in Goff in your lives if you have him. He's a really good option this year.
We've got 2 things left to do before we leave. The first thing here is, and we'll answer a few questions, but the first thing is, let's talk about Taysom Hill. You have to plug in Taysom Hill into your lineups. He is creeping up my tight end rankings. Right now, I think I have him at 5 in the tight end rankings. He's against Carolina. Jamal Williams is doubtful. Kendre Miller is injured again. He's perennially injured. Mason Tipton is playing, but Bub Means is out. So we just have Derek Carr is back, but we don't know exactly how healthy Derek Carr is going to be. I feel like this lines up to the Saints get out to an early lead, even though their defense is depleted, and they want to burn clock. Alvin Kamara's got all sorts of ailments that he's recovering from, broken ribs, a hand, a this, a that. So I think Taysom Hill gets a ton of work this week, even though he is going to be in his first game back. I'm still firing him up. How do you feel about Taysom Hill this week and then rest of season on the Saints team?
I feel fantastic in this matchup, particularly because in the past he's kind of played that like 2B running back role where he gets down the goal line, they give him carries. I'm expecting that to happen against Carolina because Carolina's defense is just so bad. They're going to have plenty of opportunities down in the red zone and like the 5-yard line and in. Yep. That's where Taysom Hill comes in because they don't want to like just overload Alvin Kamara, right? You don't want to give Alvin Kamara 35 touches in this game. That's not ideal. So Taysom Hill, he can have some boom weeks for you. Yes, I think everyone should be firing up Taysom Hill. I don't have him in top 5, but he's locked in top 12 option for me. And when you get in that Tucker Kraft range of tight ends, like I'm fine playing him over those guys. Like I will throw him in the lineup. Like I have Taysom Hill in a couple leagues. I'm flexing him just because I have really good tight end. I'm like, you know what? Let's fire up Taysom Hill and let's ride this lightning, we call it, and see how it goes for us.
100%. And one more note before we get to our coup de grace here at the end. The final note is DJ Chark is active. If you are in a deep league, just check your waiver wire. If there's nobody, let's say it's a dynasty league or super deep redraft, he's a Charger now. Just check your waiver wire. We know they have Lab McConkey. They are in desperate need of somebody else opposite Lab McConkey in that passing game. I don't think the volume is going to be there, but it will be interesting. And DJ Chark has been a deep threat time again. And if you have Quinton just running those wind sprints straight down the field, you can have DJ Chark work in the deep to intermediate. That is the average depth of target that we like to see, especially with Lab probably operating a little bit more underneath. Let's finally. Sorry, go on.
I'm saying DJ Chark is the win streak king, running all the 9 routes for you, getting nothing from it. That's DJ Chark's life, baby.
Could be QJ now. Could be QJ. We'll see. Yes. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a good pickup. I'm saying you could do worse for sure. But let's add this to the stage and see how we do. Will Levis mayonnaise. Oh my God, this is going to be glorious. Let me make sure I get this.
Yeah, it's like a perfect.
Can you hear it?
Yep.
They try to define you, but you are the ingredient to your own success. Luscious, eggy, smell like greatness. Will Levis, number 8, Parfum de Mayonnaise.
Oh my God, that was glorious. You don't get much better than that, do you, Jesse?
No, that's shout out to was it Hellman's Mail, whoever it is. Yeah, that's well done. It's well done.
Shout out to Jamie as well. Yeah. So bad it's good. That's in the so bad it's good category. I mean, Will Levis does not have a career in football. Maybe he's got a career in commercials and repping Hellman's. Did he put it in this coffee in that commercial? I don't think I saw that one. Was he stirring coffee?
I'm gonna put some. If you pay me that money, I'll put my own coffee. I'll just tell you that. I will go to Will Levis. True. You could buy me. You could buy Will Levis. We'll talk. We'll get my contact with my people.
We talk about NIL deals. NIL spells nil, and I want nil of that Hellman's in my coffee or anywhere else. Absolutely ridiculous. We will get out of here on this. Brody, we appreciate you. We did not get to this, so thanks for coming back, circling back here. David Montgomery, does he get in the end zone this week, Just?
I want to say yes. What is interesting with Jahmyr Gibbs, and unlike the guy we're talking about earlier, is he gets a lot of goal line usage too. So it's up or down with those guys. But Monty, that's what you're kind of betting on with him. And he scored a ton of touchdowns this year. There's only one game he has not scored a touchdown. So I get it against Green Bay. You could go through this. I think he's one of the top 10 running backs you're going to bet on if you're going to do a running back over anytime touchdown. I think he's in that range of discussion. And then you could do it. I'm just a little less bullish against some other guys, but yeah, I think it's a good bet. He also has the higher odds for touchdown each and every week for them, so you kind of know what it is when you're doing betting markets. Yeah, you fire a Monty touchdown.
Yep. For sure. He's my RB19 on the week. I have him ahead of Tyrone Tracy. I have him ahead of Brian Robinson. So I do expect a touchdown. I'll say that. So yeah, let's just, I understand that we're a little concerned, and he's had a few down weeks. Jahmyr Gibbs is absolutely taking over, but they also haven't needed him, right? In these last 2 games against Green Bay with Jordan Love. It's possible that Green Bay puts it on this Detroit defense. It's probably unlikely. It could be a case where they don't need him for weeks. They got Houston, they got Jacksonville, they got Indy. I mean, these are going to be cupcake matchups, and what they might be able to do is just sit David Montgomery on the bench and give it to it's not Rodriguez. Who is the Reynolds? Craig Reynolds. Yeah, 20 times a game in the second half for the next month of the season. Because this team is cruising and going to the playoffs. Jamie's got the tips for you. May Ovation long form. It's about a minute long if you want to see the last one. And this will be the last question. So thank you so much, everyone, for sending them in. Start 3. Who's the odd man out here for you, Justin?
I think it's Tillman. I want to double check. I have him in. I'm definitely fired up Jacoby Myers. Like, those of you guys don't know, Jacoby Myers leads our team in first rate targets. He's really good. He's undervalued. So it's definitely Tyreek and it's Jacoby Myers. And I just want to double check my ranking. So I'm gonna stall for a second while we get through this. But I think you can go Tillman or Cooper. I think Cooper is pretty safe this week. And yeah, I have Cooper above him. So yeah, unfortunately, Tillman is the odd man out for me this week. It's a tough matchup. I just don't want to play him with those guys. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Where are you at with these 3?
Yeah, he's like 41-42 for me this week. Like I said, I'm well out on Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman in a dynasty league this week. Look, it's not analysts or anything. It's kind of like a home league situation. I traded Darnell Mooney and Cedric Tillman for a 2025 first round pick. Like, the Cedric Tillman hype is out of control for many people. Sell him if you do not need him. And guess what? You're not going to need him because he's just going to be sitting on your bench in a couple of weeks. So we are the fantasy. Yeah, so we are the Fantasy Football Universe. We are available anywhere you can find us. We are on TikTok. We are on Twitter. We are at fantasyfootballuniverse.com, on YouTube, of course. We are here every Saturday to do your Fantasy Football Roundtable. We're here on Sundays just before kickoff and game time. So please make sure that you like and subscribe if you appreciate this content. We're live 4 times a week. We have content coming out every day, and we appreciate you. Just keep in mind that Amari Cooper is out with his wrist. You don't need to be out with your wrist unless you're smashing the like button too hard, which we always appreciate. But yeah, Amari Cooper, not big into that, but I want to see it before I plug him in.
Well, yeah, I will say he's expected to play this week. So yeah, like if you are worried about Cooper, you could just pivot to Tillman. I will say that that's if you're that worried about it, right? If you don't want to deal with an injury concern, you do that. I'm expecting Cooper to go. So that's what it is. If you have injury concerns, just pivot to somebody else. So if you want to do that, pivot to Tillman. But yeah, it's really your call.
Yeah, and if the decision is made for you, even better. What do you need us for? What do you need us for is a little bit of entertainment, hopefully a little bit of joy in your lives, and hopefully a little bit of correct answers in your fantasy football start-sit decision. So we will be here 90 minutes before game time tomorrow. Please join us again. And until then, this is Jesse. I am Jeremy, and we will see you tomorrow.